What's happened's happened. It's an expression of faith in the mechanics of the world. It's not an excuse for doing nothing. That quote was by Neil in the movie Tenet. Folks, have you ever been in a relationship where you feel like your partner is pulling in an opposite direction of where you want to go? This could be your significant other, your business partner or co-founder, or perhaps even one of your employees. How do you figure out if you're rowing in the same direction? How do you work it out to see if it's even possible to recalibrate so they're both in alignment? There's another quote I want to share. Life and business is like changing seasons. You cannot change the seasons, but you can change yourself. Therein lies the opportunity to live an extraordinary life, the opportunity to change yourself. That was by Rohn. In today's episode, I'm going to share with you the concept I've been sharing for decades, a concept I call map and internal compass. I'm going to share why it's critical to be in the same quadrant and the action steps you can take to ensure that you're heading towards the same direction. Let's cue the intro. Welcome to the Boom Vision Podcast. I am your host, Benjamin Ye. This show is about giving you the perspectives and framework on how to gain clarity and finding your true north. Are you yearning to discover your soul's purpose? Let's take this journey together because it's time for you to live an extraordinary life with vision that you design. Let's get to work. Hi folks, welcome back to episode 13 of Boom Vision. With the start of the new year, I wanted to share a topic that without a doubt has popped up the most when I've coached others over the past decade. That topic is what I call map and internal compass. So let's just dive right in. What is map and internal compass? Map is how you see yourself in this world through your own eyes. It's basically a topographic map of how you see yourself. Think of it like a 3D rendering. Now to keep things simple, I'd like you to visualize two types of terrains on your map. Rivers and mountains. What are rivers? Rivers are your strengths and where you draw your confidence from. It's things that you do well. Is your strength good leadership skills? Is it being an effective communicator? Are you a strong empath? Visualize a strong current in your river where your strength and your confidence flows easily in your life. Now mountains. Mountains are challenges and fears. Your biggest challenges and fears represents the highest mountain in your map. Is your biggest challenge your ability to focus? Do you have a fear of failure? Do you have a fear of trusting others? Or is your challenge is that you trust too easily? When you can visualize the highs and lows of your 3D map, where things flow naturally and easy for you versus the peaks and challenges you have in your life, your map is essentially a visual representation of how you see yourself in the world and the reality that you live in. Now, internal compass. Now, your internal compass is how you navigate the world from your heart. Your internal compass is your core values and principles. What you value, what you respect, and how you prioritize in your life defines your morals and your integrity. So your internal compass is what you consciously and subconsciously guides you in how you make decisions and what actions you take on a daily basis. What I've learned over the years in talking to entrepreneurs from all walks of life is that everyone has different maps and internal compass. From their own struggles and hardships as well as their success and accomplishments, your map and internal compass is constantly changing. And so the main takeaways I want you to get from map and internal compass is that your map is essentially a current snapshot of how you see yourself. Your map tends to change and shift more often than your internal compass. So why is this important? It's important to understand each other's map and internal compass. Just finding a partner that has complementary maps is not going to be enough if you have very different internal compasses. So I'll give you an example. If you find someone that you feel is complementary to you, right? Let's say you're trying to find a business partner. Let's say you're more introverted, but very attention to detail, and you'd rather be behind the scenes. but you're not good in sales. And so you try to find someone that is very extroverted, very outgoing, and great in sales and great with people. Okay, great. You have complementary maps in terms of your own challenges, but also your strengths. However, it's important to understand each other's internal compass. What is your partner's intentions? How do they solve problems? What is their decision-making process? Are you guys in alignment in the direction that you want to go? And so, what's the most common reason why relationships fall apart? One very common reason I've seen repeatedly why relationships fall apart is when two people are rowing in different quadrants. What do I mean by quadrants? The technical definition of a quadrant, it's 4 equal quarters of a circle. If you think of a direction, if I want to head north, but my partner wants to head south, that's canceling directions. We're going to be in a standstill because we're going in opposite directions. But if I want to go north and my partner wants to go northeast, then at least we're in the same quadrant. Our progress might be slow, but we're not canceling each other out in terms of the direction that we want to go. So let me give you some examples of when partnerships are rowing in different quadrants. One example is in personal relationships. I've seen this happen where when one partner starts their spiritual journey, but the other partner does not. That tends to widen the gap and they start rowing in different quadrants. What I mean by this is that when someone starts their spiritual journey, an example might be that the person starts taking yoga. They start practicing more inner work, self-reflection. Balancing mind, body, and soul becomes more of a consistent basis in their lives rather than just an occasional afterthought. And so when they're doing that inner work, it's like that partner is learning a second language. You could be speaking with your partner in English since the beginning relationships up until that point. But imagine your partner all of a sudden learning a second language. They become bilingual, metaphorically. Let's say they start learning Italian. And with a new language, that tends to shift their inner dialogue. That tends to shift their inner compass. And so it doesn't mean you have to necessarily learn that second language. But if you can at least appreciate it and understand what they're saying, at least it doesn't widen the gap in terms of the direction that each of you want to go. And so the second example in the business setting is when major life events happen. Now, what are some major life events? It's like giving birth to a new child. It could be someone, a close family member passing away. It could be getting into a major accident. All of these major life events is like a sudden shock to status quo. And then more likely than not, it will give the person pause to evaluate what's really meaningful in his or her life. It's in those moments that you ponder the question, am I living a life of meaning, of value, and of purpose? And so I'll share you another story. I have a client where he was an existing business partnership that was very demanding of his time. I mean, he's pulling 18 to 20 hours a day, and that was not uncommon on a consistent basis. But during this time when he had that partnership, after he got married, he and his wife wanted to have kids. And knowing this, if he had stayed on status quo in that existing business partnership where time was very demanding, he knows that that will not enable him and his wife to really have kids in a way that he wants to show up as a father and as a family man. And so he had to make a decision. And he did. He ended up discussing with his partner and exiting from that partnership because his priority in life was that in order for him to start a new family, he had to let that business partnership go. Because if he didn't, him and his partner would be rowing in different quadrants. And it's basically a recipe for disaster. And so seeing that early on, he exited. And so what are the action steps you can take to understand if you and your partner are rowing in the same quadrant? I call this exercise the vision board exercise. And so I'm going to go back to my CAL method, the CAL method. C, calming. Find a way for you and your partner to be in a very calm state, right? You don't have to necessarily meditate together. You can if you want to, but find a time where you guys are emotionally calm to be able to have a very good conversation. That could be in the morning, it could be towards the end of the day. Depending on your rhythm, find a time where you're be able to calm yourself and have a very heart-centered conversation. A, awareness. Now, in the calm state, I'd like you to think and bring awareness in 5 areas of your life. The 5 areas are family, finance, friends, self-care, and fun. I'll say that again. It's family, finance, friends, self-care, and fun. So what do I mean by these? Family is how you show up. What does that mean to you as a husband or wife, as a father or mother, as a son or daughter? How you are with your parents, with your significant other, with your kids. What does family mean to you? Number 2, finance. This could be your career. This could be your business. This could be how you handle your finances. Whatever finance means to you in the context of either your business or career. Number 3, friends. Who do you hang out with outside of family and outside of work? Who are your influences in your life? Number 4, self-care. Now, this can mean different things for different people. What I mean by self-care is think of it in the context of mind, body, and soul. Are you working out on your physical body? Are you feeding your mental body? Are you feeding your spiritual growth? Whatever it is, how you want to define self-care. And last but not least is fun. You have to have fun with this. I mean, life cannot just be about making money and paying bills, right? So what is the fun in your life? What sparks joy? What sparks happiness in your life? Is that even a priority in your life? And so if you think about these 5 areas, the exercise under awareness that I want you to go through with your partner is of these 5 categories, what would you consider your top 3? Do you put equal weight in all 5? Or do you actually put more priority over one versus another? What are the top 3 priorities of the 5 in your mind? And when you've listed out the top 3 priorities, the second question I want you to ask is how and why? What's the how and what's the why? What do I mean by that? The how is when you think of family, when you think of finances, when you think of friends, when you think of self-care, and when you think of fun. How does that actually pan out? What do you envision in the next 6 to 12 months? What is a successful accomplishment or goal in that area mean to you? How does that happen? Now, what's the why? Why is the underlying intention and reason and why you're prioritizing and how you see it playing out. It's important to know the how, but also equally important to know the why, the intention and how you want to play out. And then the third part of the exercise is what does a successful visualization of the top 3 priorities look to you? Imagine if you're describing like a movie trailer of your top 3 priorities. How does it play out? Can you vividly describe that movie trailer to your partner? What do I mean by movie trailer? A movie trailer is simply a preview of what's to come. So it's really a snapshot, a visualization of what do you want to manifest? What do you want to envision the next 6 to 12 months? How does this play out for you? How does this play out for you and your partner? And then the third part of the CAL method, L, language. I want you to pay attention to the language that both you and your partner use as you're describing your top 3 priorities, as you're describing the movie trailers of your 3 priorities. Do you feel you guys are rowing in the same quadrant? If so, that's fantastic. But if you're not rowing in the same quadrant, if you're not rowing in the same direction, understanding your how and why will help you be able to recalibrate and find alignment in where your common grounds are. And so I want to share with you our results of this vision board exercise when I did this with my wife. My wife Ruby has heard me use Map and Internal Compass for years. I mean, the short acronym that we actually use is MIC, M-I-C. What's your MIC? When I shared this vision board exercise, both Ruby and I actually went through this exercise last week. Now, because you're selecting your top 3 priorities of the 5 areas that I mentioned, there's going to be at least one area that overlaps between you and your partner. That's going to be what the common grounds is. Now, surprisingly for us, our overlap was actually all 3, just in different orders. My top 3 priorities is finance, family, and self-care, in that ranking order. For my wife, Ruby, hers was self-care, family, and finance. Now, our respective movie trailers looked fairly similar, but the one thing she pointed out was that she enrolled me to consider having self-care as a first priority. And when I asked her intention of the why, she made a really good point. Because I'm the main breadwinner for our family, my initial thinking is that finances should be my top priority. But Ruby reminded me that life's a marathon. It's not just constant sprints, although at times it may feel that way. And so I have to make sure self-care is a top priority to be able to make this marathon work, to make it last, because we're in this journey together. And so I was really taken back when we shared this moment together, because it helped us recalibrate. It helped us make sure that we are in this ship together, that we want to be rowing in the same quadrant. And so having self-care be both of our top priorities is important so that we last in this marathon of life. And so I hope in sharing our personal results of this vision board exercise, it gives you a glimpse of how this can be an important communication framework that you can use between you and your partner to be able to have that heartfelt conversations to see if you guys are in alignment. And so this doesn't have to only be in your personal relationship. This could be your business partner. This could be your co-founder. You can use this context in any form of partnership. And because I've seen this framework add real value to my coaching clients over years, I created a worksheet for the vision board exercise that you can download for free. All you need to do is just click on the show notes. It will redirect you to my website, where you just need to enter your name and email to download this vision board exercise in PDF. This is my gift to you for being a Boom Vision listener. I hope this framework adds value to your partnership like it has for my clients. So, final thoughts for today's episode. I'd like to share a quote. If you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. If you talk to him in his language, that goes to his heart. That quote was by Nelson Mandela. Folks, the reason why I'm sharing this concept of the map and internal compass is to establish a new language where you and your partner can speak into. My intention is to provide you with a framework where you and your partner can truly communicate from a heart-centered space to ensure that you're both rowing in the same quadrant. Do you and your business partner have similar vision on how you plan to execute on your business and why you're doing it, your intentions? For your personal relationships, do you have similar priorities in how each of you want your relationship to grow and thrive? If there's one main takeaway I'd like you to get today, is that you and your partner just need to be rowing in the same quadrant. Now keep in mind, you do not need to be rowing to the same address, but you do need to be in the same quadrant in order for your relationship to be sustainable in the long run. The map is how you see yourself in this world through your own eyes. The internal compass is how you navigate the world from your heart. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share this with someone you feel that can truly benefit from today's message. I encourage you to do this vision board exercise with your partner to see if you guys are in alignment. Until next time, folks, be kind to yourself, be in the light, be you. Thank you so much for tuning in to my Boom Vision podcast. If you'd like to find out more about me and this podcast, head over to benjaminyeh.com. That's spelled BenjaminYeh.com. minyeh.com. If you haven't already, click subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.